Now the women's double sculls. This is the launch of this competition, and we have on the Bucks side here Georgia Francis and Emily Carmichael, and on the Berkshire side Jordan Lara, Cole-Hossain and Susie Perry.
So this is one of the 3 new women's events at Henley launching this year, the women's doubles. Great to see the class of competition in this event. Here we can see in front of us the British who've been in the British rowing team this year already, and look at them sculling well. Tremendous advantage at this early point of the race, not even at a mile and a quarter yet, a quarter mile signal, sorry, yet, and they're already breaking into clear water advantage, sculling very powerfully here in front of us.
Yes, Jordan Lara, Cole-Hossain in the bow and Susie Perry at stroke. Susie 3 months the senior, 25 just. Their average weight 68 kilograms, which is actually substantially lighter.
Yeah, so the crew in front here at 80 kilos, so you can see the power advantage, as I said, looking at them. Tremendously strong double here, sculling very well. Pretty good conditions. You can see barely a breath of wind touching the flag there, so it's calm conditions. A little bit of a steering correction there, distracted I think by the bank moving away from the booms, and that little gap in the booms. You can see an 8 rowing through there. This is to allow the crews to row clearly up the course, so that was a bit of a distraction, slowed them down a little bit.
And on the Bucks side, nearer to the camera, Georgia Francis in the bow and Emily Carmichael. That says the heavier pair, and at the moment the dominant pair.
A lot of experience here. Georgia, British under 23 silvers in the 8 and in the double, 8th in the double in Poznan, the World Cup, the second World Cup race this year as well, so some real experience leading this double that we can see in front of us, looking very good in the first round of this women's double event. New event here, as I say, one of 3 women's events introduced this year by the stewards at Henley, and it's attracted top international competition, so it's great to see this. We've got international teams from New Zealand, from the Netherlands, from Great Britain, and many Olympic medalists from Rio 2016 are here in the regatta this year.
Talk to me about that decision-making process and your role as a steward, and how you come by those thought processes. What made you?
Well, Henley's a regatta that's been running since it was a town fair in 1839, and it's stood for many years for some of the best competition internationally. And as a steward, what you're looking to do is try to make sure the regatta retains its unique style and appeal. Looks very traditional, but actually still attracts the best crews in every class. And so this introduction of more women's events obviously makes it a much more representative regatta to compete in. We'd love to see more of those coming over the years, and attracts the best crews from around the world. And one of the attractions is, we watched girls of 18 racing in quads yesterday on the same track as our international superstars. We've got the Olympic single sculls champion Kim Brennan here from New Zealand. She's racing in a quad this year, so you're racing against the world's best.
And that is certainly, for those of us who intrude only occasionally on the world of rowing, part of the charm of the whole event, that there is such a substantial span, and it must be such a thrill for relative newcomers to be rowing in such stellar company.
It really is. I said I was on the water this morning myself with some old men, and we were rowing in front of the Kiwi men's 8. We saw the British men's 8 out on the water, and you see top-class crews alongside you racing down the same track, submitted to the same conditions as you are, and that's incredibly inspiring. And many of the juniors we'll see here at Henley will go on to become internationals for their respective countries, so it really is top-class competition for everyone.
It's the equivalent for young sporting dreamers of walking through the long room at Lord's, or strolling out of the tunnel at Wembley.
Yeah, what makes Henley so different is this: it's one-on-one racing, as you see here. You've got this fixed course marked by wooden booms. You don't want to steer into those, the race will be over. It's not marked out in 500-metre sections, although standard international courses 2,000 metres long were based on the Henley course. This is actually 2,112 metres long. It's marked out in imperial. You've got random markings down the course, 1.1 miles, for example, and so it's harder to know where you are. and what's going on. So it requires a different set of wits about you. And this kind of dueling of one-on-one racing can really break crews sometimes and can lead to upsets, as we've seen through the early part of the week.
Absolutely so. And the psychology is interesting at this sort of stage of this sort of race. Certainly Georgia Francis and Emily Carmichael set out more smartly, established quite an advantage, but Jordan-Lara Cole-Hossain and Susie Perry haven't let them get away. It is still a live contest into its second half here, well into its second half.
I think the double ahead now are very comfortable in their position in the race. They've got a nice advantage. The women from Thames we're looking back on here, really straining hard. You can see a lot of effort going through the shoulders and back as they open up the second half of the stroke, really trying to push along. And you need to go all the way, because anything can happen to the crew in front. We've seen this in previous years. You can hit the booms and the race can be all over, and the crew from behind can win even from several lengths down. So never take everything for granted here at Henley.
And audible again, the first ripples of welcoming applause as the now inevitable winners of the first heat of the women's double sculls feel the approach of the finish line. Georgia Francis and Emily Carmichael, a thoroughly satisfactory outing for them, and in the final event a very comfortable victory over Jordan Cole-Hossain and Susie Perry. Up to the line now, it'll be a lovely feeling.
And they're bathed in sunshine, I'm delighted to say, as the temperature rises, the clouds clear, and the sun shines on Henley Royal Regatta.
It is picture perfect now, utterly picture perfect, even for those who come in second of two. A sense of involvement in a special moment on the pivotal day of the Henley Royal Regatta. Jordan Cole-Hossain and Susie Perry beaten. Georgia Francis and Emily Carmichael go through.